Good afternoon. There we are. Good afternoon. We'll try it again. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Today is March 4th, 2019. Only 9 more months for shopping till Christmas. Keep track of that type of thing. It is an honor to have you here today. Got a good crowd, so I wonder if something's stirring. But it's always good to have you. So thank you for taking your time out of your schedule to be here. We hope that you find it informative and you find your time well spent. So we do a couple things to start our meeting. We're going to have a Pledge of Allegiance, but we also have a prayer. It's called a solemnizing prayer. It's something that we've been doing for a long time, as have elected boards across the nation, clear back into the 1700s. So solemnizing prayers for the commissioners. It's not for you. So we take what we do very seriously, and we seek wisdom as we make decisions on behalf of the county, because we want to do a good job. So if our chaplain would come forward, and commissioners, if you join me, we'll get started.
Lord, thank you for the privilege to be here today. Thank you for the privilege to come and represent the county commissioners to you in prayer. We ask you to be with them, give them the wisdom they need, Lord. May they find favor today, Lord. And we pray, Lord, and thank you for those who are gathered here today, conduct the business today, Lord. Thank you for Rowan County, Lord, and thank you for the blessings you've bestowed upon this county. And I please pray you give the county commissioners the wisdom they need now, Lord. Thank you for the preparation they've made for this meeting, Lord. Guide and lead them today in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Chaplain Taylor, for being here as always. All right, Commissioner, so if we look at our agenda, Commissioner Caskey dropped off an item that'll be added, if you don't mind, to the consent agenda as item H. And that's all I've got. Does anyone else have any additions or deletions to the agenda? All right, hearing none, then do we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, then the minutes from February 18th have been provided for us. Any corrections to the minutes? If not, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
All right.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Then the consent agenda that was amended is before us. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're moving on to public comment. See, do we have anyone for public comment?
No, not today, sir.
Anyone?
No.
All right, Ronnie Smith, public comment.
Okay. Boyd, I feel good, and thank you so much for this opportunity. First, I would like to say thank you, our commissioners, for your tremendous service to Rowan County and for all of your past support for our magnificent projects that we are currently implementing in the county. In addition to those projects which you've already approved, Friends of Rowan, FOR, Friends of Rowan, is being represented today and is very pleased to announce 2 new projects for your consideration. Number 1, the Yadkin River Park is now officially underway. We have been meeting with Davidson County over the last 2 years, and I'm very pleased today to tell you that the Yadkin River Park is a reality. That is a collaborative effort with Davidson County, and we certainly hope Rowan County. This has the potential to be one of the largest and one of the finest parks in the entire state of North Carolina, and we're so very proud that Rowan County will be a part of it. The fundraising has started. We're working feverishly as we speak. We're working with the town of Spencer. We're working with the Carolina Thread Trail. And we hope and pray later this year to have a ribbon cutting at the Yadkin River Park between Davidson and Rowan County on the Yadkin River. Number 2, Trinity Oaks Downtown is also a brand new project which we have mentioned previously. We're working on that as we speak. We've started our fundraising, and less than 2 blocks from here on West Ennis Street, We hope and pray one day we'll have one of the finest senior housing facilities in Rowan County. It will be called Trinity Oaks Downtown, and it will be a huge and tremendous asset to downtown Salisbury. Ladies and gentlemen, our commissioners, we ask that you please support these projects when you're asked to do so, and I humbly thank you in advance for that support. May Rowan County continue to be an outstanding community for all of our citizens. And as a former veteran or a current veteran, may God bless Rowan County and God bless America. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ronnie. Before we move on to item 3, I did want to introduce and welcome, the Salisbury Post has a new writer, and so this is Laura Mitchell. Laura is new to us, it's first night here, and so we're excited to have you, and we'll try not to give you really anything to write about. We try to stay out of the paper these days. So welcome, and we wish you all the best. All right, so item number 3, Aaron, public hearing for Hidden View Lane road name request. Welcome, Aaron.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right. So we have a majority petition for a Hidden View Lane off of the 1150 block of Hobson Road. So I just want to take a look here. As you can see, there's a lot of properties that access off of this one driveway, and our addressing ordinance requires us to name any road that has 3 or more dwellings off of a driveway. And this particular driveway is about to have the 3rd house put on it. And so we typically do a road name petition, but we can only approve those administratively if we have a unanimous petition. But we are actually missing the signature of one person right here who we could not get in contact with, so we've had to bring it to the board today. Everybody else who's along this road has already signed the petition in our agreement of the Hidden View road name.
All right, I noticed on the application that the first choice was,
Hidden View Lane was the,
and the second choice?
they did Hidden View Drive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they only offered Hidden View, but that worked with our addressing ordinance, so we just went ahead and forwarded it as is.
Everyone's okay with that then?
Yes.
All right. Any questions for Aaron?
I just have one. You said this is a driveway?
Right.
So that's a private road then?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this a 911 help? Okay.
Yeah, anytime there's 3 or more houses, we have to name the driveway.
Okay.
Okay.
And you say there's 3 houses on that road?
There is currently, and they're looking to build more, so we wanted to go ahead and get this going. Is it just 2? Ah. The 3rd. Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to know.
All right.
It should be called Dreshler Road, what it should be called. By that.
Well, they could have suggested it.
All right, so if there's no other questions for Aaron, then what we'll do is we'll conduct a public hearing. I'll open the floor for a public hearing. If there's anyone that would like to speak for or against, now would be the time to do that. All right, if there is no one to speak, then we'll close the public hearing. And commissioners, do we have a motion to approve, let's see, Hidden View Lane as the road name?
So moved. Second.
All right, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Aaron, thank you. Public hearing for Z0219.
All right. So Z0219 is a request from Aaron Brown to rezone a 2.1 acre parcel off of East Ritchie Road, which is also parcel 402-050. And they want to rezone it from rural residential to commercial business industrial. And it's located about the 800 block of Ritchie Road. If we take a look at the land use plan, this parcel falls inside the eastern area land use plan, inside the commercial/industrial corridor, which encourages mixed use along with commercial industrial uses. If we take a look at the zoning, it's a pocket of rural residential next to a 400-acre CBI tract, or CBI zoned area. Just take a look in the vicinity. You can see it's mostly a 4 wooded lot right now, but it's next to Duke Power and the Kuntz Elementary School. At the planning board meeting back in January, we had the following statements adopted: the statement of reasonableness and the statement of consistency. And then today we are looking at conducting a public hearing, adopting the 2 statements, and then approving, denying, or tabling the request. And if you have any questions, both me and the applicant are here today.
And it says the planning board held a meeting on January 28th. They voted on these statements. Was that unanimous?
Yes, they're both right here on the screen.
Yes. All right, any questions for Aaron? All right, would the applicant like to come forward and say anything? Aaron? Aaron?
Thank you very much. My name's Aaron Brown. I'm a business owner here in Rowan County. Been born and raised here all my life. My father was actually an entrepreneur, had his own business growing up. Been very blessed. I actually own 2 companies, Virtual Sounds and Venue Services. I generally tell people we're an all-scale event company. My company at this time, also with all the events that we do, we manage the F&M Trolley Barn for F&M Bank. We also manage the train station for HSS. We've actually took it over last year. It's been a really great thing for that as well. We're active members of the Chamber of Commerce and looking for the opportunity to keep growing. We're really blessed. We've outgrown the facility we're at. I live about 2 to 3 miles from here. It's going to be a great spot for us, and I would really love the opportunity if you guys could extend the zoning there. I'd love the opportunity to continue to grow my business.
Good. Any questions for Mr. Brown? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no questions for them, then we will open the floor. We'll conduct a public hearing on this. If there's anyone that would have something to say, either for or against this, yes, come on up. State your name and address, and welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is James Earnhardt. My address is 920 East Ritchie Road. My residence is adjacent to the property that you're discussing. I would like to encourage you to approve this for Mr. Brown so he can locate his business there. I would welcome him as a neighbor.
Wow. Well, thank you. That's almost not fair. Well, that's good. Anyone else? All right, if there are no others, we'll close the public hearing. And so we have, the page isn't numbered, well, they're right in front of us. Would someone like to offer up separately the statement of reasonableness and then consistency?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make in form of a motion the statement of reasonableness. Z02-19 is reasonable and in the public interest based on the following. The site is located inside the Eastern Land Use Plan and the interstate corridor. The zoning is what is expected along the I-85 corridor. It is adjacent to 400 acres of CBI, and there are no detrimental effects to the surrounding properties. I make that form of a motion.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, statement of consistency.
I'll make this in the form of a motion. The statement of consistency, Z02-19, is consistent with the Eastern Land Use Plan within the industrial corridor based on the following. that it is located adjacent to 400 acres of CBI zoning, and that it is located in the I-85 industrial corridor.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
All right, any discussion on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, do we have a motion to approve Z0219?
So moved. Second.
All right, in a second. Yeah, we got them fighting over it. Is there a ball game on tonight or something? Before we vote, I know Aaron's a good guy. He's got a great business. He did my daughter's wedding, and we were down at F&M Trolley Barn. They're good folks. And so we're glad that you're here, glad you choose to stay here. And we wish you all the best in your business and hope you continue to thrive and do well. So, yeah, thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. All right. All right, Aaron, public hearing for Z08-18. Y'all have to you have to stay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a public hearing for Z0818, a request from industrial to rural residential from Mr. Samuel Carell for tax map parcel 826031. We take a look at the parcel here. It's located off of old US 70 highway. It's a 6.16 acre parcel, currently zoned industrial. While it's close to Statesville Boulevard, it doesn't actually have any frontage off of Statesville Boulevard. So if we take a look at the land use plan, it's right there in that industrial corridor off of in Area 1. But if we take a look at the map here, you can see that while this parcel is zoned industrial, it does adjoin a 40-acre rural residential tract or rural residential zone. So if you take a look out there, it is pretty rural in character. You got a couple of houses right along there along Old 70. And if you take a look at the lot, the owner is looking to sell it so that somebody can build a house back there. And currently with the industrial zoning, a house cannot be built, so they need to rezone it to a residential zoning. So anybody who builds back here is going to have to access and go all the way back there before they can build anything with the shape of that lot. Just taking a couple look at the difference of uses between the industrial and the rural residential. As you can see, industrial is a lot more open zoning district, while the rural residential really is meant for residential uses. And take a look at the impacts on facilities. Statesville Boulevard has a design capacity of 35,000 vehicles a day in that area. And then that section has about 11,000 vehicles a day. And then back in November, which has been a while since we've actually heard this one, the Planning Board adopted the following statement of reasonableness and the following statement of consistency. And then today we just need to adopt two statements and then approve, deny, or table the request. And I believe the applicant was here, but I haven't seen him.
Okay.
There he is.
Okay, any questions for Aaron? All right, stand by.
All right.
All right, with the applicant, do you have anything you'd like to add? You're certainly welcome to speak.
I guess the really brief history of the property, this property was zoned rural residential. The zoning was changed years ago so that a cell tower could be permitted for that property. At that time, shortly after the zoning change was made and everything, is when the commissioners at the time had a moratorium on adding more cell towers to our area. Looking at this property, there is a place for one residence. Is all that will be able to be built on the property, and actually the way it lays, really for it to be called an industrial property, other than for a use like a cell tower or something like that, there's no large building areas or anything on that property. So we have a gentleman interested in purchasing it for a residence, And the reason we waited from November till now is because of getting a perk test and some of that stuff done on the property, and wanted to do that before we brought it before the commissioners.
Are you Sam Carell?
I'm David Carell. Sam is my father.
Okay, because our notes said that you've owned the property since the 50s,
Yeah.
and I thought
Yeah, no,
you probably weren't born in
our
the
family's
50s.
owned the property for a long time, but
He's not a good judge of age anyway, David.
yeah, maybe not. But we appreciate your time today. Thank y'all.
All right, thank you, David. All right, so we'll open the floor. We'll have another public hearing. If there's anyone that would like to speak for or against this rezoning. All right, if there's no one, we'll close the public hearing. And any comments, anything to discuss? If not, on page 3 are statements of reasonableness and consistency. Do you have those, Mike?
I move that in accordance with section 21-362J of the Rowan County zoning ordinance, and after due consideration, the planning board advises that Z08118 request is reasonable and in the public interest based on the following. The property is adjacent to an existing 40-acre rural residential district. The site would be difficult to develop for industrial use due to the access and topology issues. Rezoning the property would not be detrimental to the surrounding areas or the general public.
All right, that's a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Statement of consistency.
I move Z08-18 is consistent with the Western Rowan Area 1 land use plan based on the following. The property is adjacent to an existing 40-acre rural residential district. The site would be difficult to develop for industrial use due to access and topology issues.
All right, that's a motion. Do we
Second.
have- All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, then do we have a motion to approve Z-0818?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you very much. Thank you, David. Thanks, Aaron.
Go ahead and start.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Oh. Hopefully continuing our theme of pretty simple zone changes here. Mr. Kraus owns property off the 700 to 800 block of Kepley Road. And if you take a look at the map here, it's not quite halfway down Kepley, north of Statesville Boulevard here. So the outline boundary of the property in black here is about 23 1/3 acres. And really this is just a cleanup of the existing improvements and the new boundaries that he's proposing to separate the park property here in blue and making this the MHP boundary. So you see any area in yellow is currently zoned RA. So in this proposal, this RA area would go to MHP, and this section here, zone MHP, would go to RA. This has actually already been subdivided off as a 10+ acre exception lot and approved and recorded. The northern half, and really the primary purpose of why this is even being brought to the board, there's a vacant space here at 850, and it's been vacant for a number of years. So this zone change would accommodate Mr. Kraus to be able to put a home back there, and then this was never registered as a park. So this is all kind of cleaning up those boundaries relative to the park and the 4 or 5 extra lots. Pictures are very difficult to see, but on the top, this is within the park. There's a stick-built home at 770 Kepley Road, and then Bren Lane, which serves the meat of that property. And then the two lower images just give you a view along Kepley Road. Properties located in Area 1 of the land use plan. There's no specific recommendations, but as you'll see in a little bit, the recommendations on the statements identify the RA as being the predominant zone and kind of would match up. Only thing to take away from the comparison of uses, you see the MHP district is very exclusive. It only allows residential uses, and the RA opens it up to quite a few more options, which kind of match the surrounding area out there. All public notice is typical with the zone changes, letters, Salisbury Post ad, and signs are on the property. Receive no inquiries from surrounding property owners. I do not believe the owner is here, but as with any rezoning, you have statements of reasonableness, consistency. They are on page 4 of the staff report, and then a fourth motion for the request. Any questions?
Questions for Shane? All right, and to make sure that the applicant is not here, all right, not here. All right, so then we'll open up the floor. We'll have a public hearing. Once again, if anyone would like to speak for or against, we'll take this time to do that.
I have a quick question.
All right, we don't have anyone. We'll close the floor and then we'll discuss.
My ignorance here. Shane, what is an MP or MHP?
Home park.
Manufactured home park. My apologies.
Okay.
We like acronyms, so.
Gotcha. Thanks.
All right, so on page 4, we have the statements of consistency. I'll offer the statement of consistency up as a motion. Z04-19 is consistent with Western Area Land Use Plan and reasonable and in the public interest. Based on the following, it restores the majority of the property to the base zoning of rural agricultural and identifies the manufacturing home park areas appropriately as MHP zoning. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Statement of reasonableness is in accordance with a section 21-362J of the Rowan County zoning ordinance, and after due consideration, the Z04-19 request is reasonable and in the public interest based on the following. The request converts much of the property back to rural agricultural, which is the base zoning district, and outlines the appropriate MHP zoning boundary for those areas that are currently used as manufactured home park. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And do we have a motion to approve Z04-19?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, Shane, thank you. All right, Shane, public hearing for PDS 01-14 amendment.
Okay, this is an amendment of the Rowan Summit Shopping Center property here at 85 and Julian Road here. So what you're looking at here is the current recorded plat for the development. And you see an arrangement of lots, and I'll show you here in a minute, but this was the main shopping center, and then there's some out parcels. What we're primarily focusing on in this amendment is the elimination of this future ribbon road, that's what I call it, and it would provide access to phase 2. And due to a number of changes from the developers' kind of interest that they've received out there, it looks like phase 2 is not going to be retail. Although the covenants were amended to allow for that, it would be, in their opinion, better marketed as an industrial use. So that's kind of the primary basis for this change. And this is the PDS revised plan. I'll show you an image here in a minute, but this is also the subdivision layout, and it shows you the existing structures, and I'll talk about the two proposed. So here's Julian Road, I-85 off-ramp, Summit Park Drive. This is existing streets built within the development. And then Anchor A is Hobby Lobby. This is Dick's, Anchor B. Then you have anchor C and D, or excuse me, retail C and D. This is anchor C. This is also included within the proposal. It would complete that string of buildings. And also anchor D is within the area of modification. So that ribbon road I was speaking of, it did parallel the off-ramp and then come back over here to that future phase 2. But now that would be eliminated. These lots enlarged, and then a little bit of acreage going back here to lot 3. So lot 1 on the corner is undeveloped, 3 is undeveloped, 5 would be future, and this would be a 35,000 square foot anchor facility using the existing drive. So this map is oriented south, so we're looking straight on to the facility. You can see the blue lot line boundaries here. This was the road I was speaking of. So this would provide access to anchor D. This would be C, and the modification of those lot lines here. This is a current property separation from that phase 2 area, which you see has access on Ritchie Road of about 500 feet of frontage. And staff agrees, and we looked at this with the subdivision review committee and also the planning board, and we feel that that's sufficient frontage and separation for the phase areas, because there's a creek running through here, sewer easement, and really has some topo changes beyond this location, and this would serve the property well in our opinion. So those are the modifications. Because this went through the board before in 14 and 15 for that approval as a planned development subdivision, there's your acronym, we have notices again that go out to the adjoining property owners and receive no feedback from the public. This only needs a hearing and a simple vote. The planning board recommended unanimous to approve. Any questions of the board?
Yeah, well, go back to that. So this phase 2, which is, yes, that area there, it appears that this ribbon road you're talking about would be a way to access phase 2 from the retail space. Is that what the original plan was?
Yes, sir, and we saw a number of different layouts from hotels to wholesale, big box stores, different things, but just don't feel that there's an appetite for that right now in terms of from the developer's interest. So being that they still have these 2 lots and one other, they feel like that would probably meet their needs in terms of interest, and then they would market this other for an industrial use.
So without that road then, where does the access, let's say they filled up phase 2 with whatever, is the access then to phase 2 only come from Ritchie Road?
Yes.
That seems a little disjointed.
Well, if it's not going to be retail, if you look, this is the, I guess, E.B. Brown property, and there's Duke Energy, so this is definitely more of an industrial side. But from a retail standpoint, this would be self-contained. The only reason they were considering that is the interest that you would have from the interstate flowing over to this side, and they just don't have enough interest right now.
You go back a slide toward the front. Yeah. So so can you show us then, so there's what would lot 3 then be marketed for?
This will still be retail service.
So that's still retail?
Yes.
Lot 5, still retail?
Same
So-
thing.
So they're not talking about putting industrial?
No,
Okay,
no.
okay. And Lot 1 is still available, and that would be retail as well?
Right. This is the Phase 2 line that, I mean, you can see all the different features through here of sewer easements, probably wetlands in some locations, and it really provided a good barrier. Quite honestly, in my opinion, this road didn't make a lot of sense to start with. But again, especially now with the lack of retail interest there, this makes the most sense.
Well, that's depressing, frankly. So propose Anchor D. Are you all ready to talk about any rumors that there might be for, okay, maybe not. I've heard there might be something coming out there. All right, we'll leave that alone. Okay. All right, do y'all have any questions of Shane?
Shane, will there be any problem with access on the Ritchie Road with the types of vehicles that will be coming, industrial vehicles, tractor trailers going in through there? I'm not familiar with the NCDOT's requirements there.
I mean, there's, with the exception of the school, I don't think there's a whole lot of traffic through there. I mean, there is some from the back way into the park, but at the same time, the only thing I could potentially foresee, which if this were developed, then they would have the ability to maneuver on site. I'm not sure what kind of turnaround is here. That's probably the biggest drawback to that location. If you continue down, there's I believe this is an abandoned home here, and then this is a DOT parcel.
Any idea how many acres that is?
I want to say it's around 20 acres.
All right, any other questions?
Yeah, just, Shane, if those other lots, would they be east, I think, of the current facilities, if we cut off that ribbon road, how will they access the back of their property for loading and unloading?
That's a good question.
You're talking about, I mean, here's a layout. They would have a loading dock for D, space maneuver on site. Each of these would be developed in site plan review to make sure it will accommodate their needs. But, I mean, quite frankly, I don't think they really need two roads. Here's one existing and another road to provide access to the back. I mean, you have access throughout the facility.
Yeah. Lot number 5, how big of a big box retail building could you build on that?
If you compare it to Lot 4, that's 2 1/3 acres, and it's another, third of an acre, that's 35,000.
Could we put Target in there?
I doubt, well, I mean, here's the thing too, from the developer, they have quotas of how many parking spaces they need. This is way more than is required.
Okay.
But that kind of drives, if you look at the site, I mean, half that property's parking. And it's,
Yeah.
generally speaking, not maybe on the weekends, you get over 50%, different shopping days, but by and large, those are empty. So with that said, who knows what you would get there?
So you're saying that the road that's in front of the proposed Anchor D and Lot 5, that will have access then to the back of the stores?
Well, through the parking lot.
I mean, this provides us access to the
Okay.
customers.
Through here? Well, yeah, but I'm talking about this one. Oh, okay, okay. Thank you.
Well, I hope they don't bail on, retail opportunities that will be available in the near future. You don't typically recruit a lot of retail. They recruit you when your economic demographic mix hits their demands and as population density hits demands. I hope this has been successful for them. The number of stores that have come in, if you look at all the restaurants that are coming in, that's driven by the same really crunching of data. So, everyone here believes that as Interstate 85 is completed, that things are going to bust loose here in Rowan County, and we're preparing for that. And when that happens, I think these lots will fill up quickly, and I certainly hope that that phase 2 is something that they'll consider putting in a second retail phase in there, because retail's, it's part of the quality of life issue, and folks are looking to move to a community. They want to see what kind of shopping you have, so hopefully as things get better, they'll look at that again. All right, so we'll need to conduct a public hearing on this, and so we'll open the floor. Is there anyone that has anything to say about really what is just getting rid of this ribbon road? All right, if there are none, then we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve? Yes.
Let me just say real quick, to add on to your comments. I agree with what you're saying, but also I think we can look at this maybe as a positive, because we are being looked at more for industrial than we have been before. And so I think maybe they're looking at where maybe we're headed, because for a long time, retail seemed to be the only thing that we could recruit or could get. So I don't think this is necessarily a negative. I think it may be a positive. They're looking at that valuable land there near the interstate that they might be able to market to a manufacturer or something.
Good point.
I guess my concern is that having a family member that used to drive over the road truck is that they really don't want to mess around going into the front of facilities, that they really do prefer coming around the back and just getting to the loading dock.
All right, that's noted. Any other comments? I did see where this did go through planning board, and it was unanimous as well. All right, if there are no other comments, do we have a motion to approve TDS 01-14 amendment?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Mr. Muir. Thanks, Shane.
We good?
Yes, sir.
So item 8 on the commission agenda is the public hearing for Z0119. You wouldn't know it if you're sitting in the audience today, but this is actually our first map amendment request of 2019. We've had 3 others before tonight, but just due to the queuing, it wound up being the last. And it's certainly an important case. and I think you'll see the merits of it as we go through the presentation. So this particular request is located on Brown Road. The current owners are Allred and Weaver. Dr. Connolly is making this request, and she is seeking to go from the rural agricultural district to a conditional district in the CBI category. It is two particular parcels, but the diagram here that you see this afternoon has consolidated into one parcel. The property is located in the Millbridge community. It's just equidistant off of Millbridge Road between Highway 150 and 152, located here on the northern end of Brown Road. As we look at the western area land use plan, the commercial recommendations are general, but they apply to the entire western area. The three that are found there are that rural businesses are encouraged on a major and a minor thoroughfare if it's other than an NC or a U.S. highway. The plan considers that neighborhood business district is considered the appropriate district for locating new businesses. The irony here is that this site cannot qualify for neighborhood business zoning due to the existing and proposed structures that exceed 10,000 square feet. So by that, we're bumped in, or she is bumped into the next category, which is the CBI. So what is the CBI district? It's designed to accommodate a wide range of commercial business and light industrial activities. As you would expect, it's typically for densely developed suburban areas, major transportation corridors, and crossroads communities. The ordinance also provides some guidance or an out, loophole, if you will. But it can be created in an area if the existing or proposed development is compatible with the surrounding area. And that's what I would encourage you to notice with this particular application, is its compatibility with the surrounding area. There's 115 permitted uses in the CBI category. But in this particular application, the request only seeks 6. And so one of those would be a residential. If it wanted to convert to residential use sometime in the future, that would be permitted. The two primary are the veterinary services, animal shelter, bakery products, eating and drinking places, but this is really a restaurant. The other one that doesn't show up here is miscellaneous retail. So that gives us 6 out of 115 permitted uses. So the scope has really been refined to the point of something that's more considerable in the area. If you're driving down Brown Road, this is what the site would look like. It has been a residence in the past. There's a view here of the rear of the property. See here, there's a host of buildings that are on the property that generally look like this, that will be converted or upfitted for use in this particular application. I didn't mention this, but veterinary services and animal shelters and boarding kennel is the primary intended use of this particular property. Here's the site plan. You see here that that particular building that was shown in that previous photograph is located here. As I mentioned before, there's a couple of other buildings on site. This is the residence that's there that would be converted. Some additional buildings that would be added if approved. You can see here there's some expanded parking, and also they would propose an additional access here onto Brown Road. When we look at the site, see it is a pretty rural area. One landmark that's probably notable is Millbridge Elementary here on the western side. There's some residential clustering here, but by and large, the designation of rural agriculture applies to this area. It's largely rural, and it's a lot of agriculture, as shown by this particular site. When we look at the present use value system, people call it farm use. Those are people that are in forestry, crops, or have livestock. You can see that the surrounding area is really dominated by the present use value system. Again, we talk about compatibility. What is the applicant proposing? She's proposing animal-related services, boarding kennels. So we talk about, again, compatibility. I think that fits within this area. This map says a lot in terms of the nature of that proposed use. The zoning districts may be a little bit different. Back when the county adopted zoning in 1998, a lot of the folks in the Patterson Road area or the Grange out there wanted rural residential protection, if you will, from some of the subdivisions that were popping up prior to that time. But by and large, the area is RA. Oops. So you see the site here. If you remember the definition we talked about for CBI, major crossroads communities or major transportation corridors, you have to get to those areas here along 150 or 152 for some of those. But again, the ordinance provides you some guidance that if this seems to fit within the context of the surrounding area, it could be approved. Looking at the road network, Brown Road is a minor thoroughfare. 2016 ADT information from DOT, it's significantly under capacity. This proposed use will not negatively impact the traffic on this area. You see Millbridge Road, which we consider a major thoroughfare. Similarly, it's operating under capacity, and this project would not negatively impact it. You've done this multiple times already. The applicant is here. She also has local counsel here that may want to provide some comments. They're certainly given that opportunity to provide any additional input. The process is just as we've done before. Close the hearing, and then you have statements. You can develop your own, or you can use the planning board statements, which are really brief and to the point, and they are included here. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have them. Otherwise, I would turn it over to Dr. Connolly or Mr. Carter.
I'm Jeremy Carter. I represent Dr. Connolly, who, in realms of updates, she does now own the subject property. But if you look at the land use plan for that area, with it being RA, one of the problems with this particular site that makes Dr. Connolly's reuse attractive is this site is only about 7 acres. So unlike all those other tracts around it that are in present use valuation, this tract could not qualify readily for present use valuation that typically requires 10 acres or more. Additionally, she's repurposing buildings that are already there. One building, I think, was torn down that was not able to be used for any reasonable purpose already. It's not part of her site plan. But Dr. Connolly's intent is to open a veterinary office that services those same rural residents. It's going to primarily focus on large animals. She has a big word for those animals, but it's sheep, goats, cows, horses. So those buildings will be attractive to her and to her customers once they're repurposed. I tender Dr. Connolly to you for any further questions.
Thank you, Counsel. Anything from you?
I mean, I think everything's mostly been gone over, but you know, as far as the need and fitting in and compatibility with the area, we are going to focus on mostly small ruminants. That's the word he was coming up with: sheep, goats, deer, llamas, that kind of thing. And that I do think is a need in the county. There's a lot of up and coming sheep and goat producers. So, and right there in that little area particularly, so.
Any questions for the applicant?
Are you related to the rest of the Connolly vets?
The Connolly vets?
At Lazy 5?
That was me.
Uh-huh.
Related then.
Yeah, that was me. So just the history, if it's relevant, just history. I was born and raised in Rowan County. Yeah. Went to West Rowan and then NC State for 8 years. And then I was half of Lazy 5 Vets for 14 years. Okay. And actually sold my half in June to particularly go out in the country and start a practice that focuses more on large animal. So that would be me.
Well, you can build this one up and maybe split it.
I don't, no, we're going to say smaller. That's why we went out in the country.
I can testify that she's a fine vet because that's where we go.
Where my dogs go, yeah. All right, well, thank you very much. All right, so again, we'll conduct a public hearing. There may be some that want to speak about this, that live out in that area or otherwise. Anyone to speak for or against? All right, if not, then we'll close the public hearing, and we need to, let's see.
You want to make the
Adopt
statements?
case, yeah,
Okay.
case of consistency and reasonableness.
Make a motion for the statements of consistency. Z01-19 is consistent with the Western Area Land Use Plan as the CBI Conditional District amended list of uses is complementary to the surrounding area. The site plan also shows the limitation in uses, including tree buffering.
All right, and do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Statement of reasonableness.
Offer up a motion statement of reasonableness. Z-0119 is reasonable as the request is complementary to the area and the applicant has submitted and discussed the limitation use proposed in the conditional district application.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, then do we have a motion to approve Z01-19?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, and good luck to you. Leslie, is this you, Finance Department? How are you?
Good.
Good.
Derek Atkins, the internal auditor, and also a member of the Finance Department, and I have been working on a financing for capital improvements for the Kannapolis City School System. And so we released an RFP, and we received 5 bids. The amount to be financed is $1.3 million. First National Bank submitted the low bid with an interest rate of 2.67%. So we are asking that you hold a public hearing. After the public hearing, if you will approve the resolution and the declaration that is attached, and also give me the authority to open an escrow account.
Leslie, just for the general public's information, was this amount of money already budgeted?
It is already budgeted.
All right, any other questions for Leslie before we conduct a public hearing?
I would ask Leslie, it was kind of vague on what they wanted this money for. Did you get any more clarification? It just says for a project and some athletic improvements. I mean,
We did. They are looking to replace the turf at A.L. Brown High School. And the base bid came in at about $666,000. And then they are also doing a project for G.W. Carver Elementary School. They would be knocking out some walls and reconfiguring bathrooms and replacing the existing plumbing and electrical work. And that amount, the base bid is $839,000. Those two numbers exceed our $1.3 million, but they're asking for the $1.3 million from Rowan County at this time.
okay, I just thought the public might like to know what we're spending the money on.
Okay.
I have a question for Leslie, too. So, A.L. Brown, what percent of cost do we normally pay out towards the expenses of A.L. Brown, just in general? Is it like 50-50 or 60-40 or?
For the amount of money that we give to them on a monthly basis?
Yeah.
Between Kannapolis and Rowan Salisbury School System, it's more like a 93-7 split. 93%.
Good side.
Yeah, but, okay. So we have a small amount compared to Cabarrus County.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay, so for that, it's about 25%.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry.
All right, if there's no other questions, then we'll open the floor for a public hearing. If anyone would like to comment or have any questions about the financing that we've been discussing, then come forward and speak. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, and commissioners will need a motion that will approve the First National Bank bid of 2.67%, authorizes Leslie to open an escrow account, and what else?
Approve the attached resolution and declaration.
So moved.
All right, we have those 3 items. Thank you. Do we have a second? All right, is there any further discussion on this? All right, if not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Leslie, thank you.
Thank you.
You're still here.
Absolutely.
All right.
Too upset to be put this far down on the thing. No, I'm good. I'm good. Appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
You're not last.
I am.
We could make a motion.
Yeah.
Chairman Eds, Commissioners, thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. I want to go over some surplus property that our board declared. Back in January the 28th, our school board meeting, our school board did declare 3 properties as surplus. And of course, as all of you are aware, general statute requires that we offer this or give you first right of refusal to the commissioners for this property. The 3 properties are Patterson Road, currently that's the Price of Freedom Museum out on Weaver Road, China Grove, Woodleaf Elementary School, and Cleveland Elementary School. And of course, as you're aware, both of those our board declared surplus because of the new West Elementary School. This map, this section is the property for the Patterson School, just under 6 acres. So that's a relatively current map. This is the new map for Woodleaf Elementary School, between 11 and 12 acres there. You can see this is the old gym, this is the main building, and of course this is School Street right here for this property. And then Cleveland, we have a tract here that is surplus. It's about 1.7 acres. This is Paris Street, and this is School Street. This is the main building of Cleveland right here. And also, you see we have new lines that are put in now, and I think this is between 2 and 3 acres here. So I think between this tract and this tract is somewhere in the neighborhood of 4.5 acres. One thing that I did want to back up and show you, it was a sketch that we had received with working with county staff. This is the main building. This is the existing media center. My understanding is there's interest in the media center right here. This is the auditorium. This is the old gym, the main part of the old Cleveland. This is the old dining area. This is the old kindergarten. My understanding there's some interest here. And this designates a pod, a mobile pod that's out back. And of course, our plan is to remove that pod and reuse that in a different location. So I'd like to offer any questions with any of this if the commissioners would have any.
Could you go back to that frame you were just on?
This one? This is one I think that Bill Bergen put together. This is Paris Street. This is school. This is the main building right here. This is the main school. Media, auditorium, old gym, dining. This was a kindergarten area, and this is a pod, mobile pod. It's multiple classrooms put together.
What is that on the bottom?
This,
No, all the,
this,
no, down on the bottom of the page.
this was an early sketch that Bill did that just had, instead of looking at all this property, Bill just cut out this one area, which was the media and the auditorium. That was before, I guess, that we were talking about interest in the area over here, the kindergarten area. This is just an old sketch. We just used it for frame of reference. This is your new sketch.
So
This is one drive that goes into the new West Elementary School, which is, located over here. This is the one drive in. This is Paris that comes in, and we have a connector road that goes right here from Paris over to our new drive. And as you can see, the property where we have it split actually splits the old gym.
So currently, the old gym would be taken down.
That's correct.
The school building itself would be taken down. Maybe there's a better frame here. Go back again one. Yeah, so the dark ones are the ones that will remain.
That was the plan. And this building right here, right now, is also going to remain.
Remain?
Who is that going to be for?
That's the plan. It's a freestanding brick building, and our plan was to leave it.
That's for the possible EMS.
Oh, okay.
But at the time of this sketch, and I apologize, this is an older sketch, but at the time of the sketch, this was, it was just shown to be demolished. But it's a freestanding brick building. It's newer than the existing school. And so our plan is to leave this as well.
What about the building to the right of the elementary that's going to stay, or, yeah, is it kindergarten?
This,
No.
this,
That's going to be EMS, right?
Yes.
yes.
Okay. Keep going to.
That's just
Yeah.
a parking or a paved area, parking area right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's actually not a structure.
So there's no other
This is the-
buildings that can be used?
No, well, this one is newer, and
Yeah.
this is a great building to use. This is a mobile pod, and our plan is to reuse that and move it out. This was set up years ago, and this is a dining kitchen area, so there's not a lot to save here. The only other thing we really have on site is this section of the two-story building right here.
And that, is there another building in the back of the property there?
This,
Yeah.
that is the old existing gym.
Oh,
That's the existing gym, and right now we have, our road actually goes very close to this, that crosses it over. And as you know, there's quite a slope right here on the property anyway, but the plan was that because of the proximity of the highway, where we'd have buses in and out and a lot of activity there, our plan was that gym would, as part of the plan, the gym has always had plans to be removed.
Another question I have for you, Anthony, after being there for the dedication, is there any plan at all to open up more parking for the new West Elementary?
Not currently, not currently.
Y'all sat down with Cleveland folks, was there any discussion from them if they wanted?
The only indication I received at the very beginning of this was that there was some interest in this section right here, but it didn't materialize.
No interest in the gym from them?
I've not received any from the town, no, sir.
There was some interest in that. I spoke with an individual, not with any government body from Cleveland. And the interest that they talked with me about was possibly moving the post office
That's right.
somewhere around around there.
That's correct. The conversation I had with them was there was a conversation about the post office, but this building was one that was discussed for the post office.
Yeah.
Mr. Van, what is the current timetable for the demolition of Woodleaf and the buildings here in Cleveland?
We wanted to get through the meeting today to see if there was any interest in any of these other sections. We've had it scheduled, but we postponed it, and I do not have a new current schedule yet, but we can certainly get that to you as soon as we get that scheduled.
I'll follow up on that question. So I just want to verify, we've already approved funds for demolition of the building? You already have the funding for that?
We have funds. The school board approved funds to set aside for demolition of the building out of our capital fund balance, because the budget didn't allow it to come out of the original amount that was designated for West Elementary School. So our board approved the money for demo out of their fund balance, out of capital fund balance. That was approved. So the money has still been approved. It's still set aside for that task.
All right, so you have funding, so you're not going to leave this up and have us tear it down and pay for it?
That's not my intentions, no, sir. That's not my plan. The last official direction I got was that we were going to demo the building.
Oh, okay.
So did, were demo costs not figured into the construction cost, or were there overruns?
No, we've not had any overruns, no, sir.
We're actually it was at risk, wasn't it?
It was, yes. We've not had any overruns. The money that was originally designed for the school, budget-wise, to get the demo included in the big package, our board pulled the money or set it aside out of our fund balance in addition to the money we received for the construction of the school. So certainly that's still sitting there. But we've been very fortunate that up until this point, of course, we've not finalized everything, but we still have our contingency in place currently for the project. So no, we've not run over on the project. Actually, everything has come in as planned.
Anthony, you folks did a swap with Cleveland Fire Department for land. Is that all completed, and are there new deeds that are separate from these old deeds now?
Yes, it is completed. We needed a section right in this area where our buses pull in and go out to park. It's right in this area, and the fire department had it. You can see right there's the line, and we swapped our section here, which we obtained, and they obtained that section right up here on School Street where they're building the actual fire department right now. So we gave up this section on School Street right here for a section right here because we needed our parking lot to come out and down closer to 70.
Okay, but are there no buildings on that particular land?
What they received, yes, that's where the new fire station's going. Where our section is that we traded for them is just parking, curb and gutter and parking area, asphalt. No buildings are going on that section, no, sir.
Okay, there's no building to be torn down?
No, sir, there's not. No, sir.
I have spoken with an organization that is interested in being a part of this consortium, I guess the best word. So is there any opportunity to have that conversation now, or is it too late?
You mean for sections of the school or well, it's certainly not too late, but our plan was that, or our assumption is based on maybe the EMS station or maybe the library going into the media, is that this piece of property that you would see now, our assumption is that the commissioners would want that property. So we've not been moving forward on all those conversations about utilizing other parts of that building, because our assumption would be that obviously, we have to see if you want it first, and then if you don't, then we would certainly go back and look at other groups to see how we could utilize the property.
Okay.
But our assumption is, since there's property at each end, our assumption is that you would, maybe the commissioners would want the whole entire tract that you see right there.
So Jay, how does this all, there's all of these steps we've got to go through, and we know the library's coming up after this to talk to us. They've got plans in place to convert a couple of buildings to library and auditorium. Are those, we're going to pass on these today, but then they'll come back to us in some.
No, we're going to waive our right to accept the property as to the museum and Woodleaf.
Right.
And then as to the Cleveland Elementary, we're going to waive the right to accept everything except what's shown as Lot 1 and Lot 2 on the survey. So we're going to accept Lots 1 and Lot 2 on the survey. Okay. And we're going to waive our right as to any other property.
Y'all?
Yes, sir. We're together on that. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can you just point out again where Lot 1 and Lot 2 are?
This is the Lot 1, and there was a lot of discussion. This is the media center, and this was our existing playground area. There was a lot of discussion with the library about this would be retained for a park or play area, was our assumption. And then this is Lot 2 right here. Everything, this is Paris Street. Everything within this box right here is Lot 2, and everything on this side of Paris Street right here is Lot 1. This is 1, this is 2.
Paris Street is State Road.
That's a good question.
I believe it is.
I think it is too.
Our house is on
Let me read for the commissioners what the motion will be, and this is from Jay and Anthony working together.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Can I ask a question first?
Yeah, I wasn't making a motion. I wasn't making the motion. I thought maybe I'd read this so we could understand, but go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask Jim. Jim, wasn't there a conversation at one point about the Woodleaf property being a park?
Yes.
And so what I understand you were saying is that we're going to say we don't want the Woodleaf.
No, Patterson is the one that he was not going to take.
Well,
No, I've heard nothing that the county wanted to accept any grant from the school system for any of the other two properties, Woodleaf or Patterson.
Yes, we had talked about a year or so ago about the possibility of retaining the Woodleaf property after the school's torn down and keeping the park there. And I've talked with some folks that are, interested in doing some stuff up there with the county for that community. So I'm sorry, I thought you knew that.
No. Is it going to hold the school system up if we table Patterson?
We can do Patterson separate, can't we?
Yeah, that's what I just don't, I want to make sure that.
no, our plan was, assuming that the commissioners did not want Patterson, our plan was to go back with the Price of Freedom Museum and try to work out a deal with them so it could continue to be a museum for all.
Sorry, we're talking about Woodleaf. Yeah, that's my
I mean,
mistake.
Woodleaf right now, no, that if we need to table it, we certainly can. That won't affect us. Currently, now you did mention about tearing down the school. Now, currently, our school board, to my knowledge, has not assigned any funds to demo this school, and I've not been given any direction to demo this school at all. Direction I've been given is to offer this to you as surplus property at this point.
We can table Woodleaf, and we can abandon our right to accept Patterson, and then we can accept lots 1 and 2 and abandon the remainder of the Cleveland Elementary site.
My opinion is concerned, that's what I'd like to see is for us to go ahead and let them have Patterson and continue to have the museum there and table Woodleaf for today until we can get that straightened out.
Let me read what was provided. Proposed motion would be, I'm not making this motion yet, pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 115C-518, disposition of school property, Rowan County hereby releases any and all interest it may have under the statute in, number one was Woodleaf, but we would strike that, the Patterson school property. As to the Cleveland Elementary School site, the county hereby will accept upon satisfactory completion by Rowan Salisbury School System of the proposed demolition plan, the transfer of that area generally shown on the site plan on page 7, and as the same will be shown on a final survey plat, subject to and together with any easements that may become necessary between the school system and the county for the development of the site as a public library and EMS station, and the county releases any interest in the remainder of the Cleveland Elementary School site. Still happy with that? Was that a good piece of work that you put together? Okay. So yeah, I think probably all of us, unless someone has a different idea, I thought that built into the construction cost was demolition cost. So now you've set money aside on the Cleveland side.
That's correct.
Through your capital fund.
That's correct.
But you've not done that on the Woodleaf side.
Our board has not done that for Woodleaf, no, sir.
And do you know off the top of your head, unless you came prepared, what the demolition costs at Woodleaf are?
Approximately $250,000.
You'll need to have a separate motion to table the Woodleaf decision.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So today, when we have first right of refusal on the Patterson property, will that be on your next agenda for school board?
For what, I'm sorry?
So how soon will that be on your agenda?
Well, our school board has declared it surplus, so if you guys do the same tonight, then we would go back with the Price of Freedom Museum owners to try to work out an agreement so they could continue that museum on that property. So as soon as we can get it, well, we'd have to take care of the legal documentation, so I'm assuming it would be next month. That would be something that we would try to get on the agenda, if not before, if not the end of this month.
But after we vote today, then you could have conversations with them.
That's correct.
As soon as tomorrow.
That's correct.
Maybe this afternoon.
We can move fast with it. It's just a matter of all the legal documentation we would need for that. But
I go in there and get gas sometimes.
Okay.
That owns it, but so I had some questions. They've asked me some questions about it. So I guess it's moving.
Yeah,
on.
actually, we've had conversations on the front end with them already. It's just a matter of the paperwork catching up with it.
Well, let me just put a plug in. If anybody watching hadn't been out there, it's a great museum. They have a lot of military history that's specifically related to Rowan County. A lot of things that veterans here wore and when they were in the military, and a lot of artifacts and things that they've collected that are related to Rowan County residents. So, and it's free, and I think all the fifth graders go there every year and tour the place. So make sure that if you hadn't heard about it and you're in the area, go out and see it, because it's a good museum.
Mike, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you know what days it's open?
It's open every Sunday afternoon, and then I'm not sure about Saturday, but I know Sunday afternoons it's open, and I think there's some time on Saturday it's open. I don't think it's open during the week, but I'm not 100% sure. And then they'll have special events out there where they open up different times. But definitely, I know Sunday afternoon, and I think maybe sometime on Saturday they're open.
It's a little bit off topic, but Mike brought it up about the Price of Freedom Museum, and I did want to mention that our our friend and co-commissioner Mike Caskey has re-enlisted in the National Guard. Was accepted and is now serving once again, and that's a big deal.
Yes.
We don't, I'm here to make speeches, but Mike's a good guy and a good man, and we're really proud of him and honored to be serving with him, and honored to call him a friend. And if there's anything you know about Mike, Mike is all about loving this community and loving this country. And so re-enlisting again is just a wonderful thing, Mike, and appreciate what you're doing. Okay, so.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I would like to, are we going to table Cleveland until next?
No, we're gonna, should we make a motion to table Woodleaf now? All right, do we have a motion to table Woodleaf?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So then on the Cleveland side, we would, as the Cleveland site, the county will accept, after satisfactory completion by the school system of the demolition plan, the transfer of that area, generally shown on the site on page 7, which would be this, lot 1 and 2. Subject together with any easements necessary, and so, and that is for the library and for, what was it?
Media Center and Auditorium.
EMS.
And EMS, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask that we defer that until we've had some type of environmental done on those properties? Because that school's been around 100 years and ain't no telling what all's going on.
We have an environmental study on the school itself. We had to have that done prior to demolition, so we do have a study on the building itself and the property. Now, across the street where the playground is, I don't think that was included, but the property where the buildings are, we have had a study done on that.
I just don't want the county to inherit something.
I think, I mean, I don't know, I asked Jay, but I mean, I think we'd have to pay to clean up either way because the school board doesn't have any money. I mean, they'd have to ask us for the funds to pay for it, so I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong in that, but they have to use current funds or they'd have to use their fund balance, which they get from us, so.
Get it from taxpayers.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Mr. Sharp, I would ask my fellow commissioners to simply table the Cleveland discussion until our next meeting. I'd like to go back to this person I've been talking to and one more time and just see where they're at.
I think the plan is for the library to use and EMS to use all of what we're taking. So the decision.
That's why I would
shaking
like to
your-
table it.
Are you saying that they want to use the main building for something? Because all this is being used already. We've already voted on those things, I believe.
Yeah.
So the only things left is this main building and the kitchen, which the kitchen, you can't really use that for anything. They've taken everything out. And then these items here won't work if that building's there.
No, I know.
I don't know.
I just would like to have the time to have one more conversation. That's all.
About the main building?
About anything that's left.
Well, that's all that's left is the main building.
Yeah, and the kitchen.
But the only other option would be not to do the things that we've already. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying is that you're.
I understand what you're saying. I'm just asking for grace and asking to simply put this on the table until our next meeting.
All right, you making a motion for that?
Yes.
I mean, so what buildings, so we can make sure, So we know we have the main school that is there. How many square feet is that school?
All the buildings there, I think, are like between 40 and 50,000 square feet total. That's all, but that's all the brick and mortar, I think, total. This, of course, this is the media interested. This is the auditorium interested. And I think to access these, that was in the original plan, talking with Bill Bergen, the architect who was working on this, I think to utilize this and this section, my understanding is from him, this section needs to be removed to properly access this and this. That's my understanding.
I think that's where the restrooms are going to be in the vestibule area.
So to the right of that is the
This is the kitchen dining area.
And to the right of that are the mobile units.
This is mobile units, that's right. This is a pod that would go. And
Down
then,
below that is EMS.
that's correct.
And
So
at the-
really, all that is that's between it is this, which that section's not really set up for anything other than a dining kitchen, and that's what it is. And then the two-story sections here. But like I said, my understanding is, in talking with Bill Bergen, this section right here needs to be removed to utilize this as you guys are discussing.
Give you this to help you with, explain that to them. Here's a better representation of it. He actually shows, Bill actually has a plan, and I've not seen this plan yet, but this is the existing library. This is the auditorium. This yellow that you see right here, actually, Bill has a new construction in that particular area right there, so.
The yellow area is where the two-story building is currently. And that would, in order to use the auditorium with the library, connect them together so that it can be used as a community center and use after hours, we'd have to create this piece to change the elevation so this becomes handicap accessible. If we don't tear this down, then we have to reconfigure this whole piece, which we've already paid to have our design tools.
I'm good.
Okay. Is there really a problem with waiting until 2 weeks from now? I understand, and you know that I support everything. Oh, I know. No, that's not what, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Jim.
You still want to table it?
Yeah. I'm just asking for 2 more weeks.
Well, that building's coming down, so to build a,
I understand that the 2-story building is coming down.
so we got the kitchen left?
I guess you'd have the kitchen and the old gym. Possibly. It's
down.
already down?
Yeah,
It's already
this
coming down?
is, this is going to be utilized for parking across the back for, right here. So this is the new parking lot. I guess it's the plan right now. So this, the gym really is in the way of that,
Okay.
I guess. So.
Does the,
But really, all you've got left is this right here.
is there the dining area in there with that?
This is it. This is the dining kitchen area. The kitchen area is in the back part, dining area is in the front. That's it. This is all that's left.
Is that big enough for whatever it is you're talking about?
So you don't have any current plans for DeMont? I think Commissioner Pierce asked you when it's coming down.
But we have a contractor in place. We've asked them to stay on hold until we could get this worked out, but we do not have a firm date right now. Now that we pushed him back, we've got to get back on the schedule again, and I do not know that date yet. I was going to communicate with him after this meeting and get a new date, but so currently right now I do not have a date.
Do you want to put on?
Can you start with the two-story building
We,
first?
well, we can, but we would, we would need to do it all at one time. While they're there with equipment and trucks, while we're tearing it down, we'd want to do it all at one time.
But you're not starting within any time soon, are you? When would you start demolition after we approve this?
I mean, we wouldn't start in the next few days, but again, I'd have to find out from our demolition contractor the next available slot that we can get in where he can do this work.
I just want to say that if any of the four commissioners asked to table it, I would, any of us, I would try to use professional courtesy and do that. I don't agree with tabling it or putting it off. I think we need to get going. If you want it tabled, I'll second.
I withdraw my motion.
Huh?
I withdraw my
Withdrawn.
motion.
Okay. All right, so then, the motion would, we've tabled Woodleaf. Right, Jay, we did that. Okay, so the motion would be pursuant to North Carolina Statute 115C-518, disposition of school property. Rowan County hereby releases any and all interest it may have under the statute in the Patterson School property. As to the Cleveland Elementary School site, the county hereby will accept, upon satisfactory completion by Rowan Salisbury School System, of the proposed demolition plan, the transfer of that area generally shown on the site plan on page 7, and as the same will be shown on a final survey plat, subject to and together with any easements that may become necessary between the school system and the county for the development of the site as a public library and EMS station, and the county releases any interest in the remainder of the Cleveland Elementary School site. And I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Further discussion? All right, if not, motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Hall.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir. You ready for the presentation this evening? I have actually Deputy Director Oleen is going to lead the presentation for you. I'm going to stick around after the meeting, and I'd like to talk with you about the other project. Thank you.
All right. Go ahead, yes.
Good afternoon.
Evening.
I promise you, I am not going to ask you to vote or decide on anything except what you want to read, listen to, or stream in perhaps your spare time tonight, should you have some spare time. So we are going to do a presentation on Overdrive. We'd like to highlight this service. Overdrive is the primary portal through which the library provides access to our electronic resources. When I say electronic resource, think books, audio books, periodicals, magazines, movies. So today I have, well, let me back up there just a minute. One question that usually comes up when we highlight Overdrive to people, one question is, are you getting rid of all the print books? And the answer is no. There's still a strong need and use for print resources in Rowan Public Library. The other question that comes up is, I'm sorry, I just forgot what that other question that comes up is. It slipped my mind. But anyway, there is still a strong demand for materials in print based not only on user preferences, but publication availability, professional studies, and publishing industry data. So I'm going to have Edward Hurst come up. He is our technical services librarian. Overdrive is one of his primary responsibilities, making sure it's up and running, coordinating the items that are available on it. It's part of a consortium. And to assist him, if you all have any questions or need assistance with your own devices, that hopefully you have them with you, I've brought 3 of our other librarians, and I'll just have them come up front here, and if you'd like them to help you, just give them a nod or wave your hand. But I've got Abby Hardison. She is our adult services supervisor. One of her big roles is coordinating adult services system-wide. We've got Amber Covington. She is an adult reference librarian here at our headquarters branch. Some of her responsibilities include keeping the library's webpage up to date, our online calendar, everything entered in there. When we get asked by groups to attend their information fair or a community festival, I'll usually contact Amber and say, hey, get us a booth, get us some staff there to go and coordinate that, so our adult outreach. I also have Paul Burkhead. He is a reference librarian at our South Branch. He is responsible for a lot of our technology classes and leads a lot of our adult programs. One that you may have heard of is our photo walks, which are very popular, where Paul takes groups to different areas in the county and they take photographs, and then we get to display those online and at our library locations. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Edward.
Hello, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. And good afternoon to everybody. The first resource that I'd like to show you is NC Digital Library from Overdrive. And so Overdrive is the platform that provides access to our ebooks, downloadable audiobooks, streaming videos, and online magazines. NC Digital Library is a consortium of 23 public library systems across the state of North Carolina. We all joined together to provide this resource to our citizens, and most of the systems are counties like Rowan. We do have 2 regional library systems and 5 municipal libraries as well. And we began offering access to Overdrive in 2006, and at that time the only format that was available were audiobooks. In the first year, this consortium checked out 13,440 items, and we checked out 321 items through Rowan. 10 years later, in 2016, that number was just over 1.5 million, and Rowan checked out 40,356. Last year, the consortium checked out over 2 million items, and we checked out 51,355 items. There's just a few other libraries in across the country that checked out more than 2 million items last year, so we're definitely growing. Our cost for this is based on population and the amount of items that we circulate. Last year, our dues were $7,900, but about half of that actually comes back to us for purchasing more content. So about half of it pays for the platform itself. We do expect to see about a 5% increase for 2019-2020. And we have approximately 35,000 titles in our system through Overdrive, but then we also have a lot of items as well, because many times we'll purchase multiple copies. Some of our titles may have up to 40 items attached to them, so there's quite a few. The average cost for an ebook is about $42. The average cost for a paper book, hard copy, is about $30. So it's a little bit more expensive for us to purchase. Some of the titles that we purchase through NC Digital Library are one copy, one user. We own them forever. Others are metered access by the publisher, so we may only have them for 2 years or 52 checkouts or 26 checkouts, and then they go away. We have to repurchase the license. It's split about half and half between those two models. And you can see that our checkouts by format have been growing. Our ebooks are the most popular, and then followed by the audiobooks. We do have videos. It's still a kind of a small part of our collection. And then we added magazines last August, and that has just really taken off for us. Our unique users, you can see, are just continuing to grow year after year. NC Kids Digital Library came out of Overdrive, and it was launched in February of 2017. And it was the first of its kind statewide platform just for kids. And the target audience is pre-K through 4th grade. And it was formed through a partnership with the North Carolina Public Libraries Directors Association. And funding was provided through the North Carolina General Assembly, the State Library of North Carolina. In January of 2019, NC Kids circulated 52,000 titles, and over the past 2 years, they've checked out 605,000 items.
About us?
We check out about 2,000 items a month through NC Kids. All 100 counties in North Carolina have access. In Rowan County, children in our public schools can use their student ID or their library card. So if they don't have a library card, they can still use their ID to access it. And actually, they can access all our online resources with that school ID. And so I'll just kind of show you a little bit of NC Kids and what's available. All the titles that are there, you can only be checked out at that point. Nothing can be put on hold. That's just because the age is below 13 that they're aiming for, so they don't want any email addresses. And then we have ebooks, audiobooks, videos. And I can show you a sample. Yeah, have a little bit of sound. So they have like I said, videos, audiobooks, and ebooks, and they're all available. Last April, we installed Overdrive Media Stations, and that's this kiosk station that I have. It's a kiosk touchscreen, and we placed it at all of our libraries, so in easy view when patrons come into the library. It's helped raise awareness of our digital library services, so for people that may not be aware of them. And it allows us to showcase our collection, and we can also demonstrate the service to our patrons. And we receive about 600 page views a month through the 3 kiosks. Probably shortly after this meeting, we'll be putting one of these kiosks in each of our Rowan YMCAs. It's just to advertise the service to people that may not be coming into the library. I like to call it our digital billboard. So anybody can come up and if you don't have a library card, It can also offer you a one-day pass, so you can still check out books without getting a library card. So Libby and Overdrive are the apps that we put on your devices this afternoon. And they're both used to access North Carolina Digital Library. You can use either one. My personal preference is Libby. But you do have a choice if you're like transferring an item from your computer to an e-reader like a Kindle, you'd want to use the Overdrive app. You can read or listen to audiobooks through the app, and all we need to do is install the app and get a book on there. So I'm going to demo Libby for you. You can have preferences. So if you want to see everything that's available, or you want to limit by audience, you can just look at the juvenile books or the young adult books. So we did add magazines this past August, like I was saying, and you can just borrow those, and it's going to come up and ask you if you want to put in your about your library card and tell you how many items you already have checked out. And then when you borrow it, it just comes right up. And you can open it. Works a little bit better on an iPad or a laptop rather than a phone, but you can read it on the phone as well. If you'd like to have any help getting this installed, I'd like to invite my coworkers to come up and give you a hand.
So who can? Anyone can download the app?
Yes.
Are there any age restrictions on content for folks on the app?
For the NC Kids, no, and as far as Overdrive as well, there's no age restrictions.
Didn't know if we were letting 4-year-olds read Maxim magazine.
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, it's a real question. Are they able to do that?
I believe they could.
That's awesome.
I'd be willing to address that topic if you want to discuss it. Our policy of the library board has been that it's the parents' responsibility to censor their children's reading. They are, in fact, the best censors. In general, library ethics, or those things that we're taught in school about library ethics, look pretty severely upon limiting resources by age. And there has been a policy long-standing, probably since the 1950s, that we do some limits by age, as in computer use and those things like that, by saying these computers upstairs are suitable for adults and these on the bottom floor are suitable for children. And we make that distinction in each one of our libraries, but we hope that parents will make that distinction for their children at home, that they watch what they use on their computers and their iPads and so forth. And I'll be able to answer any questions you might have about that stance, if you like.
Interesting.
And we do have, guides that are just for children, so they can go in and just look at what they're interested in.
Yeah, that is interesting. There's so much emphasis on reading, and I know that the private sector here in Rowan County is working hard on that issue. You've got great guy Greg Alcorn working with AppSeed, providing a physical piece of equipment for kids to be able to use. Most homes still have smartphones and maybe iPads and computers. So I just wonder if our community takes big enough advantage of I suppose there's good reading stuff on here for, you said K.
NC Kids, the NC Kids site is aimed for pre-K to 4th grade.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, any questions for library folks? All right, well, thanks for putting this on.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to finding some of the audio books. I guess you've got business things on there.
We do.
Things we can travel with and
Mm-hmm.
and listen to in the car, and so I think that's a positive thing. All right. Yeah, oh, yeah.
We had some other information to provide to you about this service, and Melissa O'Lean's going to talk to you some about it, but I wanted to tell you this is like a red box. I consider it like a library in a box. It doesn't replace branch libraries, but it's really simple to use, and I'd encourage you to try it out. But I thought I'd ask Ms. O'Lean to give you some information about what these kind of things cost us and how they're used, so that you'd have that information today as well. And it's going to be very brief, I promise.
Yeah.
Won't keep you very long.
Okay. One thing I would also add about Overdrive that I really like is that you can, you download it to your device, but you download it and then you can take it home. And if you don't have internet access in your home, it's still on your device. So that allows it to reach an even broader segment of the population that may not be connected in the home. They can come to the library, download it, take it home, and they've still got access to it.
They only have it for a certain period of time?
Yes, they can. Overdrive lets you set how long you want to have it. You don't have like between 14 or 21 days, and then it goes away. So you cannot accrue late fees. Parents really like this because little Johnny can't lose the book under the bed, and they go to the library and, oh my gosh, they've got, a $10 fine for a lost book. With the electronic materials, once the due date comes, they no longer have access to it, and it's available for somebody else. Yeah.
So you're only getting so many views, essentially, on some books.
So many.
I mean, it's so if there's one book that's available, if the one of these books that's going to come up, Educated. So there's only so many people that can reserve that book and put it on their device at a time?
Well, like our print materials, if it's a real popular item, we might buy multiple, I'm just going to say e-copies or access checkouts per item. I don't believe Overdrive has a limit on the number of holds an item can have. So just like our print materials, if you go to check it out and it's not available, you can say, put me on the wait list, the hold list for it. And slowly you'll work your way up till you get a copy of that.
It really is. You're just buying a online book.
Yeah, borrowing an online book.
So it's just like if it was missing from the physical shelf, someone wanted an online,
Yes.
Besides of this, there's the profit side, and the folks on the profit side are saying, hey, we can't let unlimited number of folks use this, because we'll go back to printing books.
Yes, yes.
So can only let so many at a time, just like if it was in a physical library.
Right. Oh, if you want to get librarians hot, one thing that frustrates me is when you go to purchase some items, you can purchase it and it's your ebook. You can let an unlimited number of people, it never expires. But then with the more popular items, sometimes the publishers will say, we'll let you have it, but we're going to make you pay you can have it for 1 year. Or they may say, we're only going to let you have this item circulate, say, 52 times, and then you have to come back and buy another 52, I don't know if I want to say access or checkouts. And so it's not standard. And it depends on, maybe who the publisher is or how popular the item might be. Yeah. If you like classical literature, this is a great resource because a lot of those things are out of the copyright zone, and so they're available.
So last question, so North Carolina, who's the mothership in this? Is it?
The North Carolina Digital Library Consortium is the mothership for North Carolina. And I forget, Edward, how many libraries, not all of the libraries in North Carolina are 23 are in that. So when he gave you those circulation numbers, that's just from 23 library systems in North Carolina. And when the North Carolina Digital Library came out with their recent stats, and we had over 2 million checkouts, the North Carolina Digital Library, we're up there with the New York Public Library, the Los Angeles Public Library System, and then here's little old 23 library North Carolina Digital Library Consortium. So it shows you that people in North Carolina they're into this, because we're up there meeting numbers of some of those huge library systems.
In relation to the question you asked about maturity level, our EMS chief just showed me a portion of the app that allows you to set for your children a maturity level. So if you decided, again, censoring for your own children, that you didn't want them to see something that was inappropriate, you can set that level with the software.
Well, I've seen some titles pop up here I wouldn't want my neighbor to have, Well, that's not what I mean. It's up to them, but it's up to my neighbor to go out and buy it. That's up to him. Right. But we're kind of providing this now and allowing it. So, yeah, that kind of, the argument is your kid can go to anything they want on here. They can go to anything that they want on here. And so we're not really limiting it here. And I know, man, when we start arguing with the librarians over that issue, you said if you want to see librarians get hot, I mean, we're not here to talk about censorship at all. We're just, who decides what books? Well, let's just move on, because
but you do have the ability to limit it for your children.
Do you need a second for that?
Yeah.
I would just say you're probably a lot, well, this is my opinion, you're safer to let your child loose within Overdrive than you are to let them loose on the internet in general.
I understand that,
but, yeah, it's valid concerns. Okay. Just a couple tidbits I would add. There are 102,269 library card holders in Rowan County. The population of Rowan County is just at or under 140,000, so that's about 74% of the residents in Rowan County have a library card. I'm really proud of that statistic. I think that's phenomenal. The average cost of an item in our collection is $22. To me, that's about the average price if you go to a bookstore and get a book that's what I would call a quality book, as far as it's the paper that's used, how it's made, a hardback book. So, you're providing all of these library services for the citizens of Rowan for about $24 a person a year, based on the library's budget. A little less than the cost of going to a bookstore and buying one item. So, all right. thank you for your time and your attention, and thank you for your support of the West Branch Library. We're really excited about it, and we know it'll get here. It'll get here. If you have any other questions, we're here. I would encourage you, though, I know you've had a long afternoon. Feel free to call us up at the library. We'll be happy to help you out with navigating Overdrive or Libby. I'm an Overdrive person. Sorry, Edward. That's another thing we debate.
Well,
Thanks.
thank you all for coming. We appreciate your interest in coming to present this for us. And know you took some time off of work to do this, so thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a little note. You know, we are concerned about what our children see. And I would just say to you that, once again, the parents need to be the parents.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And now that you have a grandson,
Yeah.
he's going to be reaching for that phone of yours. And you better start practicing no.
As a grandparent, you're not supposed to say no, are you? Supposed to give them everything, aren't you? Spoil them? Isn't that what you do? You're supposed to spoil them, yeah. All right, so let's see, the next item is budget amendments. Do we have a motion to approve the budget amendments?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. We've got some board appointments. JCPC, Siobhan Allen, has been asked to serve as a manager designee. Do we have a motion and a second to approve that?
So move.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Region F, Aging Advisory Committee, Keena Jackson applied to fill the unfulfilled term of a member. Do we have a motion to approve Keena? And a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chris Hutchinson for the Rowan Iredale Volunteer Fire Department applied for reappointment for a 2-year term. Motion and a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
John Dickerson and Gail Sharp applied to fill 2 vacancies, be for 2 years each, and so motion and a second for that.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Town of Faith Planning, Mary Morales applied for reappointment ETJ member. Motion to approve Mary Morales for reappointment.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Town of Rockwell Planning Board, Delene Younts and Matt Dugan have both applied to serve as ETJ members. That'll be for 2 years. Motion to approve those 2.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And Elizabeth Bolts has reapplied, but she's served 2 terms, but we got a letter from Mayor Bo Taylor requesting we consider to waive the established terms. Do we have a motion to waive the established terms?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Then a motion to approve Elizabeth Bolts for reappointment. Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we've got Rowan Countyans, 40 openings for boards. We would love to have you contact us and get you to work on one of the boards and do your local duty to help our community. So we appreciate that. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor or anything else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.